My name is Destin Bourdon, and I am the director and co-writer of Internalized. My experience in film thus far has been mostly short films, and I've tackled that medium several times that I felt like now's the time to make that jump into a feature. I've also done PA work on my friends around town here in Portland, Oregon, and just helping around when I can. My favorite experiences on a set is just being together with people, collaborating together to create this art. There's nothing better than getting to the end of it, it's already through post and being able to see the finished project. It really makes it feel like all of that effort does sum up to something, and it's always a lightning in a bottle every time because you can only replicate it in those specific moments with those specific people. I used to write a lot, and it was mainly just writing, but it came to a certain point of like, how do I pick what medium I want this, Do I want to do books? Do I want to do journalism? Do I want to do theater? Like, how do I want this writing to come across? And for me, I figured that film was the best medium for me for my writing. A lot of it had to do, there's I guess it's a two-part answer, right? A lot of it was this internalized homophobia that was kind of brewing in the background, There was also a part where I was kind of going through this existential phase, I was watching films that were a lot darker. The film I did previous to this dealt with a lot of existential themes, and the two of them kind of merged together, and I just figured that writing this was probably the best way to help myself in the situation that I was in, to kind of get myself out of this negative mindset. And in hopes, when I originally wrote it, I was just gonna lock it away and it was just gonna be there. But as I got close to the end, I realized that other people could benefit from this and maybe learn some things that sooner than they would have by watching the film. Now, when you're dealing with themes like internalized homophobia, and it is something that affects so many people, and for me, I want to get it out to the world, that way more people have a chance to see it and hopefully it'll help them, I feel like the present is always the right time to do something, there is no time to waste in waiting. Through a lot of my writing, the one thing that is consistent in almost all of them is the Grim Reaper. And for me, it's always fun to, it's not even like, oh, how can I incorporate the Grim Reaper into this film? It's just, the character's always there, the presence. So it's very easy for me to like, it's almost like every film is the Grim Reaper's side missions, of his life. And a lot of, that also comes from, again, it's the internalized homophobia mixed with the other things that I've written and the media that I like to consume. I like having these films that they're real, but they also have one foot into like this fantasy of, things are like our world, but there's just a little difference there, right? And I like thought-provoking cinema and even shows. I think back to things like The Twilight Zone and 12 Angry Men, and things that are engaging but also thought-provoking. And I think of a lot of like Aaron Sorkin's writing, how it's mostly dialogue, but it's never not interesting. Well, for context, what's interesting is that it's not necessarily the first time that I've done this. There was another project years ago when I was in high school that I had some co-writers, and I think through that experience I was a little off-put by the idea of having a co-writer. as the years went on, I'd have some other writers that are like, oh, we should do a project together, and it never kind of formalized. And when I got to this film, Will and I, we exchange scripts, and we'll give notes and talk through these things, because it's good to bounce all ideas off of another person instead of just being in your own head about it. And so when I got done with the first draft of the script, I kind of realized, Will's a great writer, and I think Will is a better writer than I am. And I think Will would have something to contribute, based off the work that I've seen from him. And so I asked Will, and I said, hey, would you like to be a part of the project? And, it evolved from there, and we had weekly meetings, and he really helped not only flesh the script out, but I feel like teach me to be a better writer. And it was a very long but important process getting the script to where it is now, and it's all the better for it. Kai was number one on the list, and was actually the first person, other than Will, who's doing the script, as far as like the actual production of the film, other than myself and Lawrence doing the lighting. Kai was that very first person that I talked to, and we sat in a cafe and we really talked about this project, and instantly, through what I was saying to Kai, everything kind of clicked, and we were on the same page. And Kai was very helpful in figuring out a lot of that early first steps of what this film's going to be and what it's going to look like, and setting the tone, and throughout the process from that very first meeting, up to shooting day, and really being more than just a DP, being very collaborative, and Kai's not afraid to pitch ideas and talk about what's best for the film, and I really like that honesty. The day of filming the promotion was wild, because even though I had been on film sets before, some professional, some kind of just me and my buddies, right? It was my first time directing a film where I had a whole crew, and to me, when you're doing all those short films by yourself, you're wearing every hat and things get missed. But having a crew, it's like, wow, I don't have to worry about this or that, or until someone asks me questions, but I can focus on the actors more. And that was new, and I think throughout the night or the evening, you could kind of see me getting a little bit more comfortable with that, and having everybody there on my side, helping that process go along. It was nice, and it went really smooth, which is also new, because every time I've been on a film set, something always goes wrong. The hard drive ran out of storage, or stuff like that. So it was very successful, but I learned a lot about myself and how I want to direct, and all that stuff. So when we get to the full film, I feel that much more ready to do it. We first started with Forrest and Mila, right, at the tops that way, because Mila just has one little part there. And to me, they were very accepting of feedback, and they were very, on top of it. Mila, when I see her doing the work, I didn't even see Mila. I saw, the character Betty. I'm like, oh my gosh, I instantly knew that this is gonna work. Mila as Betty is gonna just. I'm really excited to get to the whole thing and have her be a part of more. It made me even more excited for the character. Forrest, came on the day before. We were trying to find somebody, and we had a really hard time with that. And luckily, Forrest and I were able to create that bond and trust in such a short period of time. And coming from a different background, because Forrest does theater and puppets, it separated from me and my idea of who the character is and becoming who they are, and with Scott as the Reaper, just being able to see every once in a while, I'd go take a peek outside to where Trissy was doing the makeup just to kind of see what's going on, because that was like the big thing, like, when Scott's in the room and all the makeup, that's when everyone stops and looks and wants to see what's going on. And to be able to play the character in a menacing way while also sympathetic to Logan, was just really fun to see.